This is Dennis Peacock with another edition of the Transforum and News Briefs. Economics, no good news. I hate to say that to you. In other words, we're going to have to learn how to function in tough times, and I think it's going to be a while before it goes the other way. Now, the principle that we're dealing with here, again, is that good stewardship and responsibility prepares us for growth. Any of you that have been around economics or raised kids or watched the people that in the long run are successful, you'd recognize that people who are good stewards tend to get a lot more things to steward. And responsibility does prepare us for growth. Now, what I'm looking at today is the pressure on small banks. We all know that Citibank and Wells Fargo and the big boys were quote-unquote too big to fail, and they took in billions of dollars. How would you like to try and compete against Goliath, especially if you were only 4 feet tall and he was 9'6"? Well, the small banks are basically in that position. With the real estate market where it is, that is deep in the tank, a weak economy, and trying to compete against well-funded banks, it's really tough. We've had over 100 bank failures here, and their monthly increase is on its way. The folks that do scrutiny on banks' financial condition are saying that at least 1,200 banks right now are under extreme pressure, and a number of them are expected to fail. This is going back to numbers that parallel what happened in the S&L crisis back in the late 1980s. Some of you remember that. Some of you were really bit in the tail by that. What about TARP? TARP accountability? Well, the Department of Treasury watchdog organization that has taken care of whatever accountability has been around TARP basically is saying the public is not going to get money paid back, or very, very little. And in terms of accountability, it's a little bit like Alfred E. Neuman. And I know I'm dating myself, but Alfred E. Neuman was the what me worry icon of my generation. And I think the TARP folks have inherited by generational transfer Alfred E. Neuman's spirit of what me worry, because nobody really knows what's going on with a lot of that TARP money. What about housing defaults? Well, in the last quarter, from July to September, over 1 million homes went in default here in the U.S. That brings us up to 3.5 million. 3.5 million homes in 2009 have gone upside down. I'm sure we're going to make it to 5. Every one of those defaults is a tragedy, tremendous pressure on families, marriages, and the whole nine. It's really, really tough. Lastly, the stimulus has been reported by Associated Press investigators are saying that the White House has over-exaggerated, I guess you could say over-exaggerated, or exaggerated in a multiplicitous way by multiple thousands. Allegedly, some 30,000 jobs were created. That's a minimum number. And as they investigate, they're finding, no, it's probably half that at most. Can you believe that they wouldn't tell us the truth? That's hard for me to believe, but I guess if you hang around long enough, you can believe all these things. Where is all this going? Well, I think it's going south, and this thing is not going to get fixed until we deal with debt, medical situations, and the overall issue of how we're going to become a saving and investing nation. This is the Transform, folks. Let's engage.